Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of Beyond Perceptions, a platform to get real insights about roles so that you can land at the right role at the right place. And today we are going to talk about, again, one of the very popular role in the tech industry, the data scientist. So in our first episode, we talked to Nitish, who is working with Indian tech startups as a data scientist, but it really matters like with which company you are working, and also like the role itself is different in different organizations. So today we are going to look at the life of a data scientist through the lens of Saumya Verma. So the guest that we have today, and she's working with Unitedhealth Group as a data scientist. So let's hear from her what is the life of a data scientist there. So hi Saumya, welcome to our show.
Hi Vinam, thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So I know you already, but maybe for our audience,
Very well.
it'd be great if you can give a brief introduction about yourself.
Hi everyone, I am Saumya. I've been working in the field of data science for around 9+ years. So currently I'm working with Optum, that's a part of Unitedhealth Group. So I am working as an associate director and my role is into data scientist domain. So in Optum, I'm working in pricing analytics, trying to understand and formulate the correct pricing strategy because the aim is to offer, drugs at lowest pricing possible for the patients and the clinicians. So I'm working to create strategies around that, and yeah, that's it about me.
So Soumya, as I already know about you, that you have pursued MBA after your bachelor's in engineering. So how you got into the data science from an MBA?
It's quite related. Like in MBA, like in engineering, I did in computer science, IT. Like I learned the coding aspect, the technical aspect, and I wanted to do MBA to understand the functional aspect. And like in MBA, I was really drawn to subjects like, statistics, operations, number crunching, those kind of things. And I did few primary research, and I really liked, the concept of analyzing the data. Data has so much power, and it can tell you great stories. Like from there, my mind drew into, working more into that domain, and I and luckily, like the company that I was placed into was Hewlett Packard, and my role was into data analytics domain. So from there, I continued, pursuing analytics and going more deeper into machine learning. So it kept on, growing. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense that the first role that you chose was a mix of business plus analytics,
Yeah.
and I think that's the case in majority of the like the roles out there today. Because yes, it's really the data can really help you in making more better decisions. So
Yes.
makes sense. So did you also basically took some additional courses or did some self study, like more exploration on the machine learning and advanced side of the data science before you went into a pure data science role?
So, like in my work as in Hewlett Packard, I explore different tools, and different languages as well. And like I did not do any course per se, but it was more learning at the job side for me. But when I joined permanent TSB, which is my previous role before United Health Group, so there I got chance to learn a lot about machine learning, and I got few training sessions from the company, in R and Python, which is a programming language is very popular these days. Also, different trainings to understand how the data science works, how to apply different machine learning algorithms and when to apply, on what data set to apply what algorithm. So those kind of tricks and techniques I learned on the job, as well as a part of training. But I would definitely emphasize to all the viewers to do some self study. Nowadays we have amazing courses on websites such as Coursera, Udemy. So I have enrolled myself into those and took some different levels. It has basic level and advanced level, so you can upskill your knowledge as and when required. So I did that. And like a data science is a field that you need to be constantly upskilling yourself, because new technologies, new programming languages keeps on coming, and if you want to stay updated, then you have to constantly update your technical skills as well.
Thanks, Saumya. I think it's really helpful to go through the courses which are available these days. Let's talk a bit more about your data science role here. So, what are your day-to-day responsibilities and things that you do as a data scientist in Optum?
So my day-to-day responsibility starts from, data collection is important, and the first step that I do, it's very important to understand the data and talk to your stakeholders to understand, to get the business requirements. And then I work in, first of all, data preparation, because the data that we have is huge, and it can, like, all data might not be needed. Some of are just noise, so you need to prepare your data, to create your base table on which you can work. You can create different models. So once my data is prepared, I use different sampling methods to further fine tune data. And I then think about what model, what algorithm to apply on that. So spend a lot of time in tuning my model accuracy. And then like, the aim is to build a good model. So it is said that no predictive model is a 100% best model, but you have to reach a stage of having a good enough model. So my aim is to understand what machine learning algorithm I can apply, and how I can predict the model. And in my case, it's like predicting the right pricing of a drug. So that is my day-to-day life, doing a lot of work around data validation, model validation, to know that this model should be working in another new data set as well, how it would work in a new scenarios. And there are different microeconomic factors that goes behind a pricing. Like I'm dealing with a US company, so it's a lot about what are the economic factors, who is in the politics, and what if government has come with new pricing thing, or new health insurance for the people, so how it would change. So all those factors, including external factors like the competitors, what are the different margin rate, rebate, etc., that you can get. So like, taking all those factors into consideration, I work on creating a predictive model, and then present it to my stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what are common tools and algorithms that you use, like most commonly in all different kind of data science problems that you have worked on?
So like, nowadays, things cannot be solved in Excel, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to upskill yourself. So I'm using either R or Python as a tool to analyze my data, to do a lot of work around, because a part of my work involves a lot of data structuring, data manipulation. So I use R and Python to work on that. And then in terms of machine learning, so most of the case, like, I am presenting my data to stakeholders, so they understand. They won't understand things like neural network or SVM, but they would understand decision tree, which is more like a flow like structure.
Yeah.
So most commonly, if I need to present it to the stakeholders, I might use decision tree or logistic regression, which has an equation. But like, I think like, I overall study the data and then think that what's the ask, what are the other features, like if the data is complete or data is not adequate. Depending upon those scenario, I come up with a solution that, okay, I can apply time series algorithm here or that. So yeah.
Yeah, and as I observe, like you also while talking to other data science, that part of the data science scientist role is also again to understand the data and basically do data processing, data cleansing, right? So there's a lot of time
Right.
that is spent on really understanding what are the different data fields,
Yeah.
and how you can combine different data sources, and then cleaning so that you can standardize and normalize the data, and then
Yeah.
afterwards basically you build a model on top of it. So what's the
Yeah.
proportion, like if we have to understand at a high level, like how much amount of work you have to spend on the data crunching or cleansing, and then what is the percentage of the model building in actual data
uh, I think that's a very good question, Veenam. And like, I spend a lot of time in data preparation, because like, model building is quick and easy. You just have to know what algorithm you need to apply. And since we have tools and we don't need to code, I don't code the decision tree algorithm. I just use that as an inbuilt tool. So like, in terms of proportion, I would say I spent more than 50% in data preparation. And so like at the beginning, if I'm happy about the data sources and all, because sometimes what happens, the data are not centrally located, it's scattered, and you need to combine them all, make it more to find the most updated data source. And it's very important to find the correct sample of data. And then I do what is called exploratory data analysis, to get summary statistics of what the data is talking about, what are the key factors that comes up, what are the to get just overall basic things like what's the average of this data, what's the, if there is any outlier. So I study those things and then filter it down, then use different techniques like correlation analysis to understand what factor would go along with my final, like in case I'm looking for a pricing, so what factors correlate highest in from a pricing perspective. So those kind of study I do. Then when I'm happy with that, then I work on the actual model building and fine tuning the models until I get a good accuracy thing. So data preparation, like some people I've seen go very fast, they just want to build a model, and they, like I've seen people saying that I have built around 50 models, but when you ask about the data preparations, sometimes they just pass it very quickly. So I would say that it's good and important to spend a considerable time in the basic step, data preparation.
Yeah, and it's also a very popular saying that shits goes in and shits goes out, basically. So if you have a
Yeah,
shitty data, basically a bad data, then of course the quality of the output of the model is also bad, right? So I think
yeah,
from that
absolutely.
perspective, it's really
Yeah,
important to focus on
yeah,
the data.
that's
So
right.
Saumya, is understanding domain, like the business domain for which you're building the model, also important in addition to understanding the data and data cleansing?
Yes, I think like because the work that we do, the goal is aligned to the company's goal, my individual goal. So it's not like I'm doing anything what the goal is not saying. I have to match that. So in order to understand what the real life problem is, you have to understand the business, and you have to understand the process. What's the life cycle? Like in my case, if I'm working on a drug, what's the life cycle of drug? What are the different touch point that drug has to go through, from the wholesaler to the person who provides rebate to pharmacist, doctor, clinician, how it will help those and tie things around that. So that's very important. And like data and business go hand in hand, for data scientists. It's not that you are just working on a model without knowing how it will impact. So that's very important. And in my case, since I'm working on pricing, I do a lot of scenario analysis as well, to take because my business pricing is very volatile. It depends upon very microeconomic and macroeconomic factors. So I take into account that how, if the market changes, how my data would work. So those things I have to understand. It's not like about that I have got this a data dump and I am just doing it without understanding the business. So
That's
it has to go hand in hand. Yeah.
okay. And then who are the different stakeholders or your team members with whom you have to interact while working on solving a problem, basically?
So like for a data scientist, in my case, I have, like, we are a team of 5 data scientists. We report to the director of data pricing in Dublin, and my key stakeholder sits in US. So they are more, they are more business people. Like they would have an experience of 30-35 years in the industry, in the pricing domain, in the pharma domain. So and also we work very hand in hand with data engineers, because they help us in figuring out the data. Sometime the data is not at a central location, and they need to pull everything into one location or upload it into big data or cloud. So we need data engineer to solve those the technical aspects. And Also, like, we have some like a quality or test analyst as well, who helps us in validating the my model. Like if I'm working on a model, I should not be the person who is evaluating a model. There should be some other person. So you need to have a blend of those as well in the team.
And since you talked about different phases of model development as well, so what are the key phases in which you have to participate as a data scientist?
So like currently I'm working more as an individual contributor. So I'm involved in most of the phases, starting from the data preparation to data building to model building, model validation, and model implementation. But when I reach to model validation, so I always like we as a team member always take do collaboration in a way that my model is assessed by another data scientist, because another person can have different approach in tackling this model. They would like to see if okay, logistic regression can do a better accuracy, so those kind of things, or tuning the different hyper parameters, what we call in model language. So it's always like to involve another person at that stage who can validate your model, and then say that okay, this model can work on different data sets as well. So uh, yeah, but like mostly I'm working the end to end role.
Okay, now let's hear a bit about your current organization. So if you can explain, like, what's your current organization, what are the key core offerings, and yeah, I guess you have already mentioned that you are involved in the price analytics division.
So I'm working in Optum, which is a part of Unitedhealth Group. So it's an US-based health insurance company, and my like company in Ireland, Optum, it is more into the analytics side of US. Like most of the business sits in US, and Optum has most of the analytics side, and like we have like a good blend of data scientists and data engineer in the team. So like we are around 70-80 people in my organization who are data scientists. And like in terms of culture, it's very open culture, and like I see a good appetite for new technologies. You have a lot of tools and technologies you can experiment, and nobody will stop, and nobody will say that okay, you need to build this only using R or using Tableau. You can use different dashboards like R Shiny, or anything which is up in the market. You can work on that. And like people are really really smart. They are all mostly they have masters either in statistics, economics, maths, so they are coming from a good background. So it's a lot of healthy competition. You can talk analytics, and you can talk in terms of model language, and people would understand, which was not in my previous companies. So I really like the culture. It gives you a good chance to it always encourages you to explore more. They really encourages on in-house trainings, uh, and like spending half of the afternoon in Friday in exploring and upskilling yourself in learning new languages or new training. So it's very very good company, and nowadays we have very good opportunities in the data scientist role. Like if people want to apply in Dublin, so we have some good opportunities. You can always see the website of the company. And like the business is a bit layered. It's healthcare is a bit complicated business to understand. But like in terms of company, I would say that I have I'm very happy with the role, with the opportunities. So I would encourage, yeah.
Definitely. And did you have the same perception of the role before joining Optum?
So like I had few of my friends working in Optum, so I got very good feedback about the culture of the company, that people are so uh, like uh, intelligent, and it gives you you always think of learning more, in order to compete with them in a healthy way. So I always knew this thing, and so that thing prompted me to apply for. And in terms of flexibility, it gives you good flexibility as well, the working hours and taking care of the work life balance thing. So it really like I got the feedback, and I was keen in working in this company.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Saumya. I think we got a really good insights about this role, and I'm sure our viewers will be really helped by your suggestions and the things that you have talked about. It gives a lot of good information about what does that role look like in general, and also specifically in Optum and in health, United Health Group in general. So now we
It's
have
been
something fun for you. It's called rapid
okay.
fire round, where we are going to ask some questions, and of course you have to answer very quickly. Not like
uh,
Karan.
will I get a coffee hamper?
Sure, you'll get something at your door, but I
Okay,
guess it will
okay,
be a coffee hamper. Okay.
okay, cool.
So let's start. So describe data science in 3 words.
um Story about data.
One data science technique that you have used most widely in all your projects.
I think I've used decision tree. It's easy to explain. It has parent child relationship which people can relate to easily, so that I've used widely for non-technical audience especially.
One misconception about this role.
So people think it's a lot of coding and only people with IT or computer science can enter. But in my company, Optum, there are some people who have chemistry background and they are doing good. Just have to, train yourself in terms of the languages a bit. But it's easy to adopt very easily if you want to change, the domain as well.
As a data scientist, what would you prefer more, a long-term research project or a rapid development project which contributes to business day in, day out?
I really like researching, so I would really go in understanding the context of the data, doing a bit of research around customers. And so I love that part, doing, my background search and mix of, I think, research and coding and presentation is what I look for.
Okay, and what's your favorite working hour? Morning, noon, or night?
I'm a morning person and I'm currently living in Dublin, and people in Europe are generally morning person. I think, Vinam, you would know.
Yeah.
So my working hours is like it's very early. It's like 7:30 to 4.
A fun fact about yourself.
I have a good sense of humor that people say. I think humor and data go along really well,
Are you planning to build a model to predict the sense of humor of people?
I don't need a prediction model. I judge from their face and 5-minute interaction with them.
That's very true. So you don't need a model for that, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks, Saumya. It was really great talking to you. And again, yeah, like I guess we have provided so many good insights about this role. And I'm sure, like people who are watching us, please, you can always go through interview of Saumya and other participants and learn the techniques that they are talking about and how different people got into the data science role. And if you want to know about any other role or more about data science role, feel free to comment and also do subscribe and share. Thank you.
Thanks, Veena. Thanks for having me
Thanks,
here.
Saumya.
Pleasure is mine. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.